It's obviously you always celebrate when you can go on the road and get a win, and it's hard to win games, and period, and particularly against a good football team. And there were a lot of good things and a lot of things we can improve and be better upon. We just had our truth meeting this morning and went through it with the team, and then our theme for this week. And I thought our defensive line controlled the line of scrimmage, and without that, we could have been in for a long night, because they really did throw it and catch it well on us, and impressed with their quarterback and their receiving core, but we didn't play with the fundamentals that I've seen us be able to do in camp. So we've got to figure out exactly why. And I think both DJ and I would say we probably didn't have them quite as prepared as we should physically, and we just didn't look as fresh as I've seen us. So I thought our D-line controlled it. Obviously, 2 big fourth-down stops were huge. And then special teams-wise, huge play in the kickoff return. Too many penalties that we got a great keel punt down on the 6-yard line and have to repunt that. And then the 15-yarder, it's kind of he just lost his footing, and that was kind of a freak thing there. But had too many penalties, 9 for sure, two third down and a fourth down conversion for defensive penalties. And offensively was pretty clean, other than 2 false starts and the holding penalty on Perry, which I thought he was doing a great job with the technique we teach. And but I thought both our lines controlled the line of scrimmage, which you can win a lot of games when you're rushing for 7 yards an attempt. And we're thrilled to get the win. On to the next one. That one goes in the trash, and the goal is to be 1-0 this week. We get to come to the 16th straight sellout at Jordan-Hare, which our fans were incredible in Waco, along with our band and cheerleaders and people that traveled there. And but it's nothing like playing at home, and we've got to have an edge about us when we get to play here, that it's a special opportunity. And I know this weekend is the Pat Dye Players Reunion, and it'd be good to see all those guys back here. And we're thrilled to be kicking things off at home and finding a way, hopefully, to get better this week.
Jacob Goins, ESPN 106.7. And Auburn, Jackson clearly showed the legs and the ability to run the football. Moving forward, is that going to be something you build into the offense more with the success you saw in week 1?
Totally depends what's needed to win. That's always been my philosophy of offensive football is, what is it for this game that is going to help us win the football game? And if that's needed and that's what the game calls for, I think he's very capable and willing to do that. So it's all about, the flow of the game and how that's going. And, some of those were called runs. Some were obviously him pulling it down and using his legs. And, we'll go into every game being willing to do that for sure.
You noticed Darian Smith only played 8 snaps, but he was down for 2 pressures, and you guys rotated a lot up there, just especially with the pass rush. How much did you like seeing, especially some of those young guys getting in there and making an impact in the game?
Yeah, we played 28 kids on defense, and I think the front was the reason we won the football game, really. And we probably should have played him more. His production, now he was fresh, but his production at the end, he was a factor. He was harassing the quarterback pretty well. And so I thought he made the most of his opportunities, which ultimately should lead to hopefully more opportunities. Now, every game's a little different too. I mean, he's probably not, is he ready for the point of attack against the run game against every team? Maybe, maybe not. So we have to, factor all of those things in. But I do think in that game he proved he probably could have played more.
I don't know if it's fair to say, but it looked like Horatio in the fourth quarter on that drive missed a block, and the next play he comes up with a key catch and bulls ahead there for the first down on third down. what does it just say about him that he's able to bounce back from maybe a not a positive play to having an important play in the game?
Yeah, he definitely didn't understand the leverage of that play on the block. That's the deal about perimeter blocking is you have to understand where is the ball going to be when I'm at the point of attack. It's one thing if it's handed off back there, he would have been in good position. But when you're throwing a swing, that's a totally different deal. And we've got to do a better job coaching the perimeter blocking on understanding where is the ball being delivered. And so he did, that could have been a very positive play there had he had the right leverage. But to see him bounce back, and that was a tight coverage window too. The throw was great on time, but him winning at the top end of that route was big time. And then finishing it with a 2-yard carry to get it past the chains. I don't know if we can. That was a big play in the game at that point, at that moment of time.
Coach, Damari and Jeremiah combined for over 150 yards. Your thoughts on what you got out of your running backs?
Yeah, just great to see them. They've waited their time and been developed, and it's good to see them have success in their first real outing where it's theirs. And so hopefully they can build upon that. We'll need them both, and plus more. Damari got a little banged up shoulder in the game, so we'll see how he is this week. But if you run the ball that number of times, they're going to take some beatings, and we've got to make sure that we get the others ready also. But really happy for Damari and Jeremiah.
Hugh, you mentioned after the game maybe the defense was a little more tired than you expected in those conversations with DJ that you've had. Did he reciprocate that? And then what are y'all looking to see this week?
Yeah, we had a long talk yesterday with Coach Dom, myself, DJ, and the defensive staff trying to figure out how to process what we felt. And feelings can be misleading at times, and you don't want to make too much of that. Obviously, we found a way to win the football game, but did we feel like we were crisp and fresh? I get making mistakes, and you miss some tackles in week one usually. However, I thought we tackled really well in the live scrimmages, the two we had. But it just, whether or not it was it was 140 degrees when we got there, and our emotions on defense were an emotional group probably, and that adds to the drain. And then give Baylor credit, they hit us in the mouth pretty early, and I don't know if it was just a combination of all of that, but it just seemed like we weren't fresh and crisp, and even at the when we get a 4th down stop to win the game, there's very little emotion or celebration, and it's almost like relief. And so I think we were I don't know if we pushed too hard during the week. We looked at all the load counts on all of the bodies, and to try to figure out, were we not fresh enough going into it, and we'll try to make changes on whatever we process that to be with Dom's help, nutrition help, and DJ's and the practice format and stuff. But there were still some good things. Our D-line crushed the pocket in the run game. They only had really 2 decent runs. But the back end, we did not play with great technique or eyes, or we just didn't play like I've seen us play. So that's the good thing, is I know we can get better.
All right, question specifically about safeties. It seemed like your cornerbacks, I thought, played decently, but safety was having a hard time. Was there anything specific to that position that was just frustrating in particular? Giving up. Like on the explosive play, it's almost like the one right before half that, we kind of busted a coverage. Not kind of, we did. I've seen them do that 100 times in camp and execute it beautifully. And obviously that coverage is based upon pressure getting to the quarterback and the ball coming out fast, which it did. But we're just flat-footed, and I don't know, like I haven't seen, and it's very difficult to explain. And we just got to obviously own what's on the film. It's us that coached it and us that executed it. And so, where I know they can show me they've done it right a bunch, we didn't do it right when it counted the most. And I don't know if they're so used to the rush getting there faster and them not having to be in a back pedal and play your midpoints exactly right, where you can play that vertical ball. But the rush, they did a good job of. I mean, it was getting there, but maybe they're used to getting there quicker in practice. But we definitely didn't tackle well there, didn't play with the right leverage on the ball, and didn't understand a couple times where our help was, and got beat on inside routes by number one a bunch. Now, I think DJ and we'd be the first to say we didn't have the greatest plan for him. We probably should have played, more dime and bracketed him some.
How valuable is a game to under the belt for an offensive line group that had not played together? How valuable is that? And then what did you see out of them as a whole after going back and watching it?
Yeah, one of the better performances in a long time. The guy that I'd really like to point out is Tutal. I mean, I thought he, in a world where it's hard not to be about me. I mean, this guy's a guy that started 30-something games for us or started 30 games or so. And it's now, quote, not starting. I mean, if there's ever a reason to pout, he would be at the top of the line, but he doesn't. And, man, when he came in, he gave us a spark. Those drives, when he was in there, he was moving people. But I thought it was the communication for being on the road. It wasn't a crazy loud stadium, and obviously very disappointing we couldn't use all our cadences. We bailed on that after the 2 penalties, and that's got to change. We've got to figure that out. But outside of that, I thought our O-line played extremely well. We got one pressure, but we didn't set it the right way from the quarterback position, which really falls on our offensive staff to get it set the right way. It was the first time they brought field smash and got us there. But outside of that, I thought our O-line played about as well as we have.
These kinds of games, everything players say is they're 40-something point favorite and they can't lose. How do you approach that and convince them that it's important that they play well again?
Well, you hope you don't have to. You hope that the focus is on us and not a given opponent. And it's on us getting better from last week, which there's a lot on the film we can, and we don't have to search for it. It's there. And so if the leadership of the team truly wants to have a year that we look back on and are pleased with, there's zero chance of that happening without us understanding the task at hand is to better ourselves from week 1 to week 2. It doesn't matter who the opponent is or what people say. Or I've had a lot of those, and you get in this a dogfight because you didn't have that mentality. So I hope we're at a point now in year 3 where we have some leaders that understand this is not about anybody other than Auburn and how we should improve this week, irregardless of who we're playing.
Amara seemed like he was banged up a little bit towards the end of that game. How's he doing, and is there anybody else who you expect to be limited this week?
Morris bounced back and got back in, so I think he's fine. Unfortunately, Champ suffered a broken thumb that will require surgery, so he will miss some time. And Damari's shoulder is questionable. I think that's. There's a lot of bumps and bruises, but I think that's the two that will be. Champ will be out. Damari is questionable.
You talked about the defensive front secondary. Talk about the linebackers. Couldn't help but notice Xavier and Robert 17-0 a lot, but how was the overall line?
Good good against the run, not so good against the pass, in technique and drops. And man, if you're supposed to be on the hash, drop or be on the hash. We've got to improve those aspects of it. But there were some good things and then some things we've got to improve on.
Past years with Peyton's performances, you've kind of gone back and looked at the RPOs and good and bad, good and bad. I'm just interested, after watching the film, how you would grade Jackson's performance in his first game in your offense.
Very patient, and truthfully, the first thing I tell our kids is how many times I put them in a bad situation. Our offensive staff did. By the way, I thought Nick's and the offensive staff did a really nice job of game planning, first downs, and getting ahead of the chains. And he did a nice job throughout the game of getting us off to a positive drive. But he was really patient. I mean, he only had one play where I thought he was careless with the ball, and that was the pressure one. I allowed him I regret it, we had a drive where we were really getting some chunk yards in his 2nd and 4, and allow him to throw an RPO to Malcolm. And, in normal situations, that's fine. But man, the run was another gash. I mean, Kyle was going to rip that counter off for a lot of yards, and that's on me. That's not on John. I gave him the green light to do it, even though the safeties, they just were not going to attach themselves to the box. They were sitting at 10 yards, and they were not moving. And our normal rule for that is you give the ball, you hand the ball off. But I get greedy sometimes, and it's hard when you have the receivers we have but you're averaging about 7 yards a gain. You probably need to fight that urge to take the shot there. Particularly in that, I think we would have scored on that drive and made the outcome a little easier. But I thought his decision making, because with their flat-footed, he knows we have guys that could run by them, but the box is still light, and that's a temptation that a quarterback that can throw it with the arm strength to the outside that he has. And the throw he made there, it actually hit Malcolm in the hands. Now, he had some vision. The guy was kind of in his vision, but it was a good throw. But I own that, not him. So I thought his decision making was really good, other than the one carelessness with the ball.
Michael Ginswar for Auburn. Coach, Baylor was unable to stop you guys from running the ball. 75% of your plays ended up being runs. But you talked about the receivers and how they're able to make plays for you when you need it. Cam had a really good one where he showed off his athleticism. Can you talk about how you get those guys teed up headed into SEC play to get them more opportunities, and maybe even put more on tape to evaluate your passing game?
Well, I think that will come when at some point you're going to have a box that you don't like, and you're going to have to throw the football to win football games, and those days are coming. And the good thing is, I think we have the ability and people that can do that. It would be good to get Jackson some of those reps before, sooner than later. But in that game in particular, it was just very difficult when you're really ripping off good runs, not to continue to do that and control the clock and not give that ball back to them, because I think they're a really good offense. So I think that time's coming where we get to see the full aspect of what we can be when needed.
More on Jackson Arnold. How do you kind of assess the decisions he makes when it comes to running, in terms of going through the progression, taking off and running? I mean, he's such a good athlete that he probably feels like he can maybe always make a play there, but did you feel like he did a good job of making sure everything was there before he took off? How do you sort of look at that?
Yeah, there was. I don't want to tell you the number was the scrambles were truthfully only 3 out of and the others were some type of run where he has the option for it to be him or somebody else. And so it wasn't a large database to really look at as true progression type throws and then deciding whether to use his legs or not. So the sample size is really small on that. Most of the others were called runs where he has to read a certain defender to decide. The first touchdown's a great decision where we have Eric on a little. I thought he could have gotten it to him, but looking back, I'm glad he didn't. But he could have gotten it to him, and then we also have inside zone with a tailback insert for him to run, sort of draw type mentality, which ended up scoring. That decision was really good, as were his others, whether to pull it or give it or. But the sample size of, hey, did you really go through your progressions before you left the pocket is so small for that game. So that's I think we got some more determining to do on how he handles that.
From the game, rewatching it, the tight ends seemed to be did really well in run blocking. How big were they? I mean, y'all say 11 and a lot of 12 because of the box.
I thought B. Frazier had his best game. I thought he played at a high level. Preston battled hard too. They had two big catches and great drop step on the one B. Frazier caught. Like to see him come up with that ball and not obviously it was not a fumble, but still don't like to see it loose on the ground. But I thought he played at a high level, and then Tate coming in our Big 12 package did some really good things. He had a great block on that 4th and 1, and so I thought they played at a very high level in the run game. Pass game, again, not enough sample size, but the ones that did come their way, I thought they handled very well.
Coach, we saw some quality snaps from Eric Winters with the injury of Champ Anthony. Would that possibly see him inserted into the starting lineup?
I really don't know on who's starting and who's not, but as far as more time, I think it's reasonable to expect that for sure. I think the opportunity is there for several guys to. That was my challenge this morning. Go have a great week. Those of you who didn't get the number of snaps that you hoped, go have a great week and make this a different week. And Eric played a lot of snaps, but it's a reasonable assumption to say if Champ's down, his snaps even go up more.
Yeah, your friend Gus had a pretty good day the other day, and it was a big deal for him. No, I knew that. I knew you'd like that. It was a pretty big day for him. Talk about how happy you are to see him kind of getting that chance and then making the most of it.
I mean, there are friends in this business, and then there are close friends, and Gus and I are just genuine, really close friends, and who's walked with me through a lot, and I think he'd say the same. He's loyal, and I couldn't be happier for him. To seem like he was having fun coaching the game and doing what he's good at, and so enjoyed talking to him after it, and really happy for he and Christy.
Damari, Jeremiah, they only have one run combined for over 10 yards. Is that a relevant stat, or would you rather we'd like to see more missing in the second level or better downfield blocking?
Yeah, that was. You would like to see them break a few, probably. The way they were playing their safeties, setting flat-footed at 10 is kind of hard to. I mean, they did a good job tackling us, so yes, you'd like to see us break more, but the average of 7 is pretty good. So you don't want to complain too much, but certainly you'd like to see some of those become, more explosive 15, 20-yarders by them making somebody miss there in that 7-yard range.
Coach, you mentioned throughout the preseason the plan was to rotate a lot on the defensive line. What did you think of that in game one, and did anyone stand out in particular of the guys who played?
Yeah, we rotated a lot of guys. I think we had 6 inside guys and 5 outside guys, maybe 6. Really good rotation. I thought all of them played solid and established a presence at the line of scrimmage. I don't know that there's, wasn't any like standout performances, but all of them played really solid, and I thought established the line of scrimmage and got push on the pocket where the pocket got crushed. So all of them, I thought played well. Yep. Thank you.